Hello and welcome to this ControlUp Community Meetup. This is our meetup number 10. This is our 10th meetup. That's how you say that. So I thank you all for joining. I must confess, I'm recording this intro after the fact for two reasons. One, my internet was so poor as we recorded this. I just went on mute and let Sivan run this whole thing because she's the genius behind it anyway. And two, I forgot to press record for the first 5 minutes of me rambling about nothing. So we'll just stop the rambling about nothing. I'll do my intro and I'll turn it over to Sivan. So I'm really excited about this event. This is our 10th meetup. We do meetups monthly within the ControlUp community, or try to, thereabouts monthly. And this meetup is from popular demand. This is, I always ask you folks, hey, give us topics, give us wishes, desires, wants, needs, things you want to learn more about, and we will do them. So you asked about synthetic monitoring and Scoutbees. So here we go. To do that, I brought on Sivan, who's our technical training lead and probably one of the brightest people within ControlUp. She knows the product inside out, teaches it daily, writes about it, you name it. So, and she's a great presenter with a great personality. So we're really, really excited to have her on, and I think you'll join that. And she's bringing Ehud on, and he is the senior product manager. And I probably botched the name, so I apologize. He's a senior product manager for Scoutbees. And if Sivan is stumped, Ehud is there to help and maybe even pipe in and share some other interesting factoids. So with no further ado, let me just dive into this, share this with you guys. This is a great meetup. I hope you enjoyed it. And please, in the future, let us know if you have any other topics you would like, and we will make sure we bring those to you. On that note, here is Sivan.
Time for that. All right, beautiful. Let's go ahead and end this poll. These are the results. So it was a share. Hold on, do you guys see the share? I think you should. It is even, actually, between nothing and Tootsie Rolls. And 22% like gum inside, and a few like the weird slurry ones. Okay, cool. I think that's pretty interesting. All right, let's stop that vote. And I think we can jump right in. All right. So welcome to the Academy Community Meetup. A little bit about what we're going to do today. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction. You already met me. I already mentioned my boss. I don't think you guys need much more than that. Also, Ehud is over here as well. Do you want to say something, Ehud? Just to say hi? Awkward.
Are you referring to me, Sivan?
Yes. Want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you for joining. Ehud from product management team.
Amazing. Awesome. So that was our introduction. Now we're also going to go over into what is synthetic monitoring. For those who are not so familiar with it, we want to go ahead and do a little bit of a high level dive, high level. We're also going to go over a use case. Now the idea here is that I don't want to just show you a use case on why you'll use synthetic monitoring, but I'm actually going to show you a use case on how you're going to use synthetic monitoring with all of the other products that ControlUp has to offer. A lot of the challenges we have, I think a lot of people have here, is the fact that we always show kind of our products and our features as individual items. So today I'm actually going to go through a use case that connects all of the items together so you can see a full workflow from beginning to end and how you can use this product with our other products that we offer. And of course, Q&A. I'm a big fan, guys, of Q&A. I absolutely adore it. I think without questions, these live training sessions could just be recorded. I mean, if you're here live, you might as well ask questions, right? So first of all, I want to explain to you a little bit of what Academy has to offer. I have a question here. I'm gonna pull up an actual more serious poll. My main question here is going to be, first of all, have you ever met or have you ever been to one of my trainings? I'm just curious if anybody here has been to one of my live trainings that I've had. And that's going to be launched. This is just curious. This is just my curiosity. Oh, Marcus. There's love here. Love all around with Marcus over here. Beautiful. Glad to see you too, Padma. All right. And of course we have some Q&As already by Marcus. Okay, Marcus. I'll take those questions at the end, all right? I see them, just letting you know, okay? All right, then. Let's go ahead and deep dive about what else ControlUp has to, or I should say the Academy has to offer. Is my poll not showing for anybody? Like, I haven't gotten any responses, so I'm not sure. It's not showing. That's annoying. I'm gonna have Douglas look into why my poll yes and no is not showing up. All right, let's move on. First of all, the ControlUp Academy offers a lot of things, not just live trading or not just self-paced trading, but we offer a little bit of a mix of both. So I'm actually going to go ahead and give you guys the link to our website over here. Here you guys go. And I want to tell you a little bit about our offerings. Now, we have something we call office hours, which is like what you guys are doing today, where in general, I'll have a small subject to talk about. And if people have actual questions about any product and any tool, it doesn't really matter what it's about. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. You will choose a session, either the US session or EMEA sessions. So whatever time zone you're in, it should be covered. And you'll be able to ask any questions with an audience. Now, if you want a one-on-one session, I have breakout rooms, all right? These breakout rooms allow you to book a 25-minute session with me for a one-on-one session, okay? Now, these one-on-one sessions will allow us to actually be able to talk about how you're configured your environment and how I could potentially help. As a side note, these sessions are not for me to troubleshoot your environment. That's support's job. But I do have some knowledge, of course. I was in the support team in ControlUp as well. However, please, 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 it's more of a how-to kind of concept versus this is broken, how do I fix it kind of thing, okay? So I just wanted to make sure those are clear. And I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions related to the topics I just mentioned? And of course, here's the link to the breakout room bookings if you guys want to save that somewhere. Okay, so I always like to do my awkward silences to allow people to ask any questions they have. But I think that pretty much covers that. Now, another thing that we offer is, of course, our courses, okay? These are self-paced courses based upon all of our products. All right, we got the VDI and DES Administrator, which goes over the real-time console. We have VDI and DES user training. So if you're only interested in how to use the product versus how to configure it, or maybe you have team members that only need to know how to use the product and not necessarily how to deploy the agents, get things working, configuring the security policy, the triggers, you get the idea. You'll be using those user trainings. So as you can see here, we have quite a few different types of self-paced courses. You'll hit take self-paced course here. And this will target you to the login page. Now, if you don't have a login, go ahead and you can register yourself or message our support team or your CSM or your sales rep, and we'll get you taken care of. Although it's pretty easy to register yourself. So just, throw your information in here. It's pretty simple registration process. All right. Any questions regarding the courses that we offer in the Academy? I'm looking at chats. I don't see any new chats yet.
No.
Okay, Douglas's voice broke up. I don't know what he tried to say, but I think he tried to say no.
No questions yet. Not yet.
I noticed. Don't worry. All right, beautiful. Thank you for being on top of that, Douglas. I appreciate that. All right. So with that out of the way, let's talk about what we're really here for, okay? Which is, you guessed it, what is synthetic monitoring? Ooh, exciting. All right, let me know. I want to know if my launched yes or no poll is up. Michael, is my yes or no? It's still not working, Douglas. Can you launch my poll for me? I don't know if it's working or not. The question I was going to ask, if anybody here has used synthetic monitoring before. I just want to get an idea. You guys can use your thumbs up, your hands down, whatever it is. I'm looking at the attendee list to see what we've got going on there.
Which poll would you like, Sivan?
The yes or no. Okay, Michael's nodding. They're just getting, okay, beautiful.
Do you see it? It should say, it should be launched.
I don't see anything, but I think Michael says it is. Oh, it's not working? Oh, okay. Oh,
Interesting.
Michael's thumbing up for me. Okay. All right. We'll figure that out later. But in the meantime, we'll just use our chats for my polls. That works as well for me. All right. Beautiful. So a lot of people don't have that much experience, although some do, and that's great. So this is for everybody. All right. This explanation is just going to be for everybody here. And I'm going to simplify this beautiful, this is the simple explanation. What is synthetic monitoring? I'm going to use my Siri voice, what some people like to call. Excuse me. Synthetic monitoring monitors the availability and performance of your EUC published resources, Citrix, VMware, etc., network connections, and applications. You can test resources from outside your corporate network, meaning you can run these tests outside, meaning US, Hong Kong, anywhere, whatever you like. And you can also test resources within your corporate network. All right, that means that you can actually make a test within your own system. What does that actually mean? I have a beautiful diagram for this. All right. Now, what is a hive? All right. So a hive is I shouldn't say going to be, is your central location which you begin your tests from. You can also think of a hive as in like an airport if you want to. And what happens here is that we're sending scouts out to verify if something exists from that location. So a hive can be located in your own network or outside the network, and you could be using a hive that ControlUp manages. So the tests go from me to whatever resource that happens to be. Okay? It could be an EUC resource. It could be a website. It could be anything, a host, a machine. Seriously, we're gonna be thinking very creatively. Now, this happens every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or 1 hour, depending upon your conditions. Now, of course, the next question is, okay, well, what happens if it breaks? Well, the whole point of Scoutbees is to tell you exactly where it breaks, when it broke, and notify you that there's a problem. Now, it's not just for notifications for when something breaks down. It's also can notify you if something takes too long. Now, one of the things that I always have, and I always like to tell in my training, especially when in terms of Scoutbees, is that a success can also be a failure. Can anybody guess, either in the Q&A or in the chat, what does that actually mean? What does that mean to you when a success is a failure?
Means I learned something.
Anybody want to answer this one? Clint, I'll allow you to answer this one if you want to. You can tell me in chat. Oh, John mentions he's the first win. You're a winner. Long login times can be successful, but below standards. Absolutely. That's absolutely the case. And that is exactly what my use case is. So I'm going to do something interesting. Yeah, you see how that blended in? Huh? Impressive, right? Yes, of course. I'm going to pretend that Douglas was responding to me and not to John. I'm going to share my computer sound. Okay. And hopefully this works. Let me know if it's if it does, not that it's terrible, just if it doesn't work. I'm going to be quiet now.
Hey Rob, what's up? Some users in finance are reporting slow logon times. What can we do?
So let me check synthetic monitoring to see if there's an issue during the logon process.
Thank you guys. I caught it. Thank you, Dane. Thank you, Maud. Thank you, Marcus. Marcus won that bet. He caught it really fast. All right. I'm unmuted now. So exactly what our dear friend is telling us in the video. We want to dive right into the environment that shows us, okay, why is something taking so long? So I have quite a few interesting results in here. One, we've noticed that there's a spike on my Windows 365 device. First of all, before I dig in too much to the Scouts, I want to show you that I actually have a filter here for EUC specifically. Now, I know not all of you will be using VDI, so we are going to be showing both. Now, I hope I launched the poll that says, what license do you have? If I did, please let me know. Anthony, you asked an awesome question. What about for Teams, Zoom, or WebEx? I will go over that. Don't worry. This makes me so sad. We didn't do enough testing, Douglas. All right.
I don't understand why it doesn't work. It says launched. I push
know,
the
right?
button and it says launched. It's for you too, right?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
does.
it's a
Yeah,
very
it's weird.
simple feature. We need ControlUp monitoring Zoom.
Well, we need Zoom to monitor these polls. All right,
Okay,
all right.
I'm going back
Let's.
to
All right. Well, that's very sad. But I wanted to ask how many of you are using physical endpoints? How many of you using a VDI? How many of you guys are using both? That's just kind of for my information. You can answer that in chat or anywhere you want. There's three technically, yes. Okay. So either way, let's keep moving on with this. Let's continue. All right. Oh yeah, definitely. And Marcus says to make that question in the Q&A so I don't miss it. So it's a good question. All right. And I see that we have a few people using both, a few people just using VDI. I don't think I've seen anybody only using EdgeDX, the physical endpoints one, but keep that in the chat if you want to throw that in there somewhere. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. Now, specifically for EUC, and we're going to be I'll be showing you guys Scouts for everything, okay? One for each type of Scout. Don't worry, I got your back. But this particular Scout, we want to dive in, and we'll be able to see the results of the Scouts, such as average load time, how long it took to get the session ready, and we'll be able to notice if there's any type of spikes, right? We saw it in the other Scout, which I'll give you guys a sneak peek a little bit afterwards, but I want to keep us on topic here. Now, when I select the spike over here, it will focus on the Scouts, the tests, that were in that time frame. I can see that it took 28 seconds to get the session ready. I can select this Scout and see exactly what went on during that time frame. So I have my authentication steps, I have enumeration, I have my ICA download, I got my connecting to session here, having it initialized, and of course, having the session ready. This will help me out in targeting where my problematic area is. All right. And the problematic area could be just about anywhere. And when our users call us to tell us, hey, Sivan, I have a problem. It's taking forever for me to log in. They're not going to, a lot of the times, they're not going to be able to tell you why. All right. I'm going to assume everybody's small and nodding with me. All right. Now, with that in mind, we need to start finding solutions. Okay. Let's continue with our use case. Let's see what Jen and Rob are talking about.
Jenny. So after reviewing synthetic monitoring, I noticed some delays when trying to connect to our EUC resource.
Oh, take a look at the VDI device. There might be an issue on that end.
So in this scenario, they're telling me that I should actually go ahead and check into VDI. All right. So I'm going to dive into my VDI view, which is VDI in DAS, right over here with this beautiful icon. And as a side note, of course, I can select this icon down here for reports as well, if it's something that's going to be more historical. All right, watch me log in, and I logged in before, but we'll give it a moment to log in here. I like to do a little dance. You guys do a dance when you guys, wait for pages to load? I kind of just like move my shoulders back and forth. No, but Marcus, you dance with me, right? Claimed. All right, fine. Thank you, Marcus. All right, let's continue. So what I'm doing now is that I'm going to go into details. All right, from my details page, I can search for my problematic device. So let's say it's my RDSH. I always have him on hand because I always search for him. I can go ahead and select the device itself, and I can go ahead and take a look at what's really going on. If you guys have been using VDI for a while, none of this was probably too new to you. At this point in time, I can go into the processes and try to find out if there's an application that's taking up a lot of CPU. I have this application down here called CPU stress. Now I'm going to give you guys a little secret. My servers, my machines that I have, don't really like, they don't have the most resources on him. Okay, so you're going to have to forgive a little bit with the numbers here. But essentially what's happening here is that I have this application that's causing high CPU, and I can right click on him, go and, kill the process, resolve the issue. I mean, of course, there's other things I can do in here, not just kill processes, right? I could say process priority. I could show the modules loaded by the process, which I think is pretty cool. Of course, there's tons of different types of scripts that I can run. And if I'm really curious about what the user's doing, I can also right click on the user, go to session management, and you can take a screenshot without notifying the user. Of course, you could restrict some of these permissions and etc. So I can see exactly what they're doing on that session. And I can also do a remote control session if I want to as well. So all of these actions are things that I can do directly on the server itself. I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions so far on what I just went over? Questions, comments, or concerns?
Not yet.
All right, beautiful. Now, if I say, okay, I really don't need this process running, I communicated with the session. Oh yeah, sorry, I just clicked on that instead. This is the screenshot, so I can actually see what the user's doing. Yeah, don't worry, Padma, I'll show you how to create the scout, I promise you. Everything's going over. And then I'll be able to kill that dreaded process that I hate and be able to resolve this problem, right? This is all through remote. And Padma, throw your question in the Q&A so I don't forget it, just in case. Although I have plans. All right, let's continue with my use case here.
I found and fixed a problem with high CPU usage, but users are still experiencing issues.
Let's check physical endpoints and apps. We might uncover something wrong with the physical machines.
So now they're saying, okay, well, maybe something's not just the problem on the virtual endpoint. It could be a problem on the physical endpoint. Now, I will give you a little sneak. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I want to show you something a little cool. There's a feature also called Remote DX that can be accessed through VDI. Okay, that can also tell us about the network, like what's happening between the physical device and the virtual device. That can also help us resolve this issue as well. It's found under user sessions in VDI. Now, if I'm going too fast for you guys, just let me know to slow down or repeat myself. I really don't mind. And I can select this little house icon. And this tells me exactly things such as internet latency, total session latency. Like we get everything in here. Okay. We got CPU. We got a lot of details in here. Okay. And you can get even more. Our system is a little bit bare bones, but I think hopefully you guys got the idea here. So not just can we use the VDI if we don't have physical endpoints. I'm saying we can also use VDI if we also have physical endpoints, but not the physical endpoints and apps product, not EdgeDX. But if we have EdgeDX, of course, we can just go directly into the device, right? We can go to devices, we could go into details, we can select the relevant machine, and we can see the results of the machines. We can see things like Wi-Fi signal strength, memory utilization, network latency. We got all of this information to help us say, hey, it's not VDI. Maybe it's not the network because I checked Remote DX, but it could be something related to the computer itself. It could be high CPU. And at that point in time, we can go into seeing the active processes and probably kill the processes that shouldn't be running, right? And of course, all sorts of fun other actions are found in here, such as send message, remote shell, remote control, remote shadow, all the fun things in life. And side note, if you guys didn't know about this, we have auto connect now. You guys see this? Thumbs up if you guys saw this one. Thumbs down if you didn't see this one before. I haven't saw this before. All right. Brandon didn't see this one before. So yes, EdgeDX now has auto reconnect after reboot, which is in a beta, it's a semi-beta, and auto reconnect after network change or error. That means if the computer turned off, you can get a reconnection as soon as the computer turns back on, or it could be that the network has changed and it will reconnect automatically. It's absolutely epic. These are very new features, and these are some of the things I go over during my office hours, new features every once in a while. So go ahead and show up and I'll talk to you about them too. All right, so that's with EdgeDX. So at the end of the day, all right, let's see if they have anything else. I think they're happy. All right, so we have a full use case from Scoutbees to VDI to EdgeDX, and we use RemoteDX as well. I'll give you guys a little sneak peek about that. And that's the idea, right? We want you guys, and we want all of us to be able to use all the products together. And I am ready to show you guys how I created those scouts. But before I do, like, I want to, like, how do you guys, what other kind of scenarios can you guys see yourselves using? It's weird that I think you guys can't unmute yourselves. So if you want, you can share in the chat if you'd like to do so. So think about it, right, as I go along. All right, so let's keep going. So how did I create that scout? Quite easy. I selected create scout. All right, I'll show you again. Create scout. All right. Again, I'm in synthetic monitoring, create scout. I'm using a cloud hive. I have the ability to select a relevant hive. I select my gateway type. I put in my address. All right. All right, I'm putting in whatever, because right now I'm just showing you how this would work. And then I can get resources. Now, of course, because I have tricks, okay? I have some tricks. All right, and just to show you guys how this would look like, I'll have a drop down of my resources. I'll select my resource. So once I collect it, I'll get a list of resources. I'll name my scout. And then I can also add in additional parameters if I want to. Okay? Once I do that, I'll be able to select my alert policy. So let me actually just fix this URL for a second. He still doesn't like me. Oh, because I did bad job in there. There we go. And then I'll select, still doesn't like my resource. I'll cheat. Like I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna go into I'm gonna select my EUC resource that I've created earlier, select my RDSH, and I want to show you what those alert policies look like. Okay. So once I get into the next stage where I'm selecting my alert, this is where I can define whether or not I want to be alerted on a failure or upon a success, but it took too long to load, the session to load. So status equals to succeed if I want to. And I'm going to add in an additional and condition. And then I can say average response time is greater than what my average usually is, which is approximately 40 seconds, more or less. Okay. So that's the kind of concept that we're going to be able to use to collect the alerts that we want. Now, you notice that we have this piece here for subsequent tests. This runs every 1 test, every 3 tests. So if it fails 3 times in a row, that's a problem. And if it failed only once, maybe it's not such a big deal, guys. Once we all have like kind of like spikes in our system. It's not always that important. But if it's 3 times in a row, if it's 4 times in a row, and you're doing these tests every 10 minutes, that's 30 minutes of failure. That's a problem. Okay, that can be a serious problem. Now, the different types of methods, we have notifications for emails, webhooks, and you can also set an integration if you want to. Integrations that we have are like with ServiceNow, and I think there's another one. Ehud, what kind of integrations do we currently have besides ServiceNow?
We also have 2 Teams, Microsoft Teams, and there is a possibility to create webhooks.
Beautiful. So those are the built-in integrations we currently offer. All right. Beautiful. So that's generally how we create a scout. Now, I did notice your question, Ken. I didn't forget about you, but essentially you don't need to have EdgeDX for remote control. If you're using VDI, they have their own remote control. EdgeDX has their own remote control. You can use both, it doesn't matter. So answer live. Okay, cool. Let's see if there's any questions here I can answer right now. Okay, let's continue. So any questions regarding the EUC type scouts? I used a Hive that's found in the cloud, but mind you, you can also select like a custom Hive that you installed yourself. Just make sure the server is always running. Yeah, great. Okay. All right, then. Let's continue. Another type of scout we can create is the infrastructure. So we spoke about the EUC scout. We saw the use case for with Jen and Rob. Now let's see what we can do with the other types of scouts that we're offering. So as an infrastructure scout, we offer quite a few different types ones. We've got ping, traceroute, DNS, HTTPS. I don't have to say these out loud, but I'm going to do it anyways. Shell execution and Edtra ID. Now, Ehud, I don't know if you saw this question. Marcus asks, what are our primary use cases for shell execution scout? What's the one that you guys have seen over there?
Well, with shell, you actually can do multiple things because it is using a script language and can do creative things. One of the common use cases that we see is the ability to test the storage. Writing a script that put a file and read it back and make sure that storage is working correctly.
All right, that's a really interesting one. All right. So let's take a look at the other ones that we have. Now we've got the one, again, I mentioned before, HTTPS is pretty straightforward on how it's done. I can select both custom and cloud hives here. And I just put in the email address. Okay, pretty straightforward. Now, something that people like to do with these email addresses, HTTPS. All right, let me go ahead and I'll show you something interesting. I'm just putting in, let me put in my website. Exciting, right? Okay, I'm going to put this in here really quickly and set my scout name. Michael will yell at me later for making a scout for this, but I'll be removing it later. Don't worry. You'll notice that we have different types of success codes, authentication. We got a lot of things going on in here. I'm keeping it simple because I just need it simple. Now, one of the things I actually used it for personally, this is a personal use. I was monitoring ControlUp Academy, okay, the website. And I wanted to see what kind of results I'd get for different things. And we noticed that our certification expiration was about to be reached. Okay, so that is definitely something that is heavily, it's a really an amazing use case, honestly, because I used it. So it worked for me. And I'd be able to get notified 30 days before the, 30 days before the certificate expires. You might need a little bit more time, but we just kind of needed just 30 days. Now, I'm going to show you what that scout looks like. So I'm changing my filter to being infrastructure. I actually have Google over here, but I'll show you what the results look like. You notice I have a different amount of successes, a different amount of fails. I can click on the fail if I want. I'll just be selecting successes. If I scroll down, you'll notice I can choose certain hives as well. Some hives may work better than the other ones. And then I can go into success. And then I'll be able to, oh, wait, you'll notice here already. Sorry, I already put this in here. Certificate expiration date. I did it by using this thing here. All right, I can put in whatever metrics I want. I can also select it and see the results in here. Ah, yay, exciting. Questions? Awesome. Don't forget to add your questions to the Q&A, guys, okay? All right. And then Anthony's question, I'm going to answer that one right away. I'm going to show the next scout. There are two different ways of doing what you want, Anthony. The question here was, What about Teams, Zoom, and WebEx? How does one use a Scout to interface with those platforms to measure end user voice and video quality, and then use that to measure baseline deviation from baseline to effectively manage base expectations? I have two answers for you. One, under applications, we'll be able to create a Microsoft Teams. We don't have Zoom or WebEx in here. I'm not sure if we have that planned. Oh, do you want to say anything about that?
What is the question?
The question here is if we have plans at adding in, I think, a Zoom and WebEx into the Scoutbees.
Not something concrete right now.
Okay.
We do have this, on our radar. We just need to see there is enough demand for it.
All right. Then, so this is a general Teams verification regarding Teams itself. Now, to answer the question fully, though, really in relevance to how we can support the actual calls themselves, we'll be using a different product. We'll be using UC&C found in EdgeDX. Okay, so that's another feature that you'd want to look into for unified communications and collaborations. With that kind of integration, and I'll show you this in a second, okay? It allows you to actually see the results of all of those things. Have you seen that before, Anthony? Have you seen UC&C and EdgeDX before? Okay, so I'll give you a little sneak peek about that. And this is what you're going to really want. Okay, so this is a general scout to verify to make sure Teams is running as it needs to be. However, what you're really looking for is going to be this. Okay, so this is another product, another tool that ControlUp offers, UC&C. You do an integration with Teams, and you can see the results of your calls and the quality of these calls as well. And you can see according to the score, if it's a good call or a bad call. We have a lot of good calls. Let me see if I can make this a little bit more detailed. And we can see those results. There's also reports. Now I could get into a 20-minute conversation on this, so I'm going to move away from it. But just throw that out there. It is coming from Teams calls, but we do have live calls as well. But again, I'm going to have to stop myself because I have a really bad habit of talking too much regarding other features. I can get sidetracked. But by the way, Anthony, contact me. Do a little breakout room. I can totally get more into it with you, okay? I promise. All right. Just let's do that. Let's do that later. All right. So another scout we can do. If I have no more questions on HTTP scouts. All right, we talked about application. I spoke to you already about Microsoft Teams. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you something here. My favorite scout, guys, is web transaction. Okay, I got some. I don't know. I find it fun. All right, I'm a total dork. I'll leave it out there. Okay. And because I'm a total dork, I find these things fun. And Ehud, there is a question here I would like you to answer a little bit later and start thinking about the question. Are there any plans to introduce the transaction scouts, which is something we're talking about now, to publish apps and desktops? Imagine how cool it would be to be automated clicking within a published app and desktop. And John asks as well, have there been any updates to be able to use synthetic monitoring with MFA enabled? Although, John, with that question, as I realize now, I mean, there is multi-factor authentication in this level, static pin and this code. So, John, let me know if that answered your question, if that's something that you want, or if you're talking about a different type of scout. All right, let me know that in chat. But let's keep going. As we think about these questions, I would think, do you have an answer yet for those, or do you want to think about it a little bit more? We'll let them think about it.
Well,
All right.
Actually, sorry. I didn't understand the first question really. What do you mean by enabling web transaction for published apps? Do you mean running from these apps or testing these apps?
I think he wants to like log into it and then have like an application loaded and then test like how long it takes to click on something.
Again, I'm not sure what is the use case here. If you want to, you can build web transaction test to test the publish web app and then see how long it takes to click something. Actually, if you are interested, one of our sales guys can build a whole Scout for AWS workspaces just by using web transactions. So that can be a good example of how to use that for this purpose. But I'm not sure I answered your question.
Marcus,
Regarding
email me. I
MFA,
think
regarding MFA, as Sivan mentioned, we do have the MFA as part of the EUC, and we have a plan to include it in the web transaction as well.
which we're about to show. But Marcus, if you still have a question about that, book a breakout room with me or email me, and I'll be happy to assist you with that one, or at least give you somebody that can talk to you about it. All right. Now let's talk about web transactions and why I like them so much. So I select that, and you'll notice that I'm going to put in a website. Okay, HTTP. Of course, I am terrible at writing, so I'm going to make my life a little bit easier and just do it the slow way. I'm going to go to the junkiest website I can think about. All right, this is going to run every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and I'm going to record steps. By selecting the, URL has to go up here. By selecting record steps, it automatically opens the website with the transaction recorder. What's really neat about this is that no matter what I'm doing, everything is being tracked by the transaction steps, no matter what site I go into. Okay? So then I hit submit, and this puts all the values in here for me. This, if you click on read more, if you haven't downloaded this extension yet, we'll ask you if you want to install it, and then we'll go through the installation process for that extension. So as soon as I do that, I can test the Scout, and it will bring it up to me. Great uses that I've seen with web transactions, people testing their file shares, people testing different types of websites that they need to work and function within their own website. For example, in ControlUp, right, we have our pricing pages. We want to make sure people can access our trials. Like, these are all great examples of things that we need to work all the time. So we'll have the Scout test each one of those steps. Okay. So there's only 12 minutes left. But there's one more question here. Can we explain the purpose of Enter ID Scout? Is it to test resource groups? Ehud, do you want to answer that question? I personally don't. I haven't played around much with that kind of Scout.
The question about Enter ID?
This one.
I see a question here about Enter ID.
Yeah. What is it to test resource groups?
No. Its main purpose is just to make sure that Enter ID is working and you can authenticate against it. It tests the service of authentication of Enter ID.
All right, beautiful. Marcus also asks, are there any plans to bring the Hive possibility into a SIP agent or EdgeDX? Do you want to answer that question? Or should we,
Right now, we have something else in the pipeline, which is called AppDX. This will be real user monitoring extension, and it's supposed to bring a lot of the value of the synthetic test from the endpoint.
So more to come. Come to one of my trainings next, I think in February, and I might be able to answer a lot of your questions on it. All right. Anybody want to ask questions live if you don't want to type in things? Ken, you still have your hand raised. Do you want me to unmute you to allow you to talk? All right. So with that awkward silence has passed, during a lot of the times, after I do these kind of Q&A sessions during my office hours, like today, I'll do that training, what people are interested in, answer any questions that people have, and then leave time to ask any questions regarding any product. So this would be a great time for me to dive deep into UCNC, but because I kind of already answered that question, I want to give people room to ask any questions that they'd like about any product. I have no restrictions. I like to think of myself as knowing the system pretty well. I mean, I've only been training on the system for 5 years. So I'd like to think I'm okay with this, but I want to give room for anybody to ask questions, for any questions. I don't care.
There's one more from John.
Oh, yes. Is there any limit to the number of scouts we can configure with an ultimate license? I personally don't know what the limit is. However, I can tell you how to find out. If you click on the configuration, the top right-hand corner, going into licensing, you'll be able to see how many credits you have. These credits are being taken every time you create a scout. It will tell you how much. Oh, I have to actually create a new scout to show you guys this. Hold on a second. It'll tell you how many credits it's going to be used. I'll tell you how much you've used, how much you have left, that kind of thing. All right. If you need more, talk to your sales guy. They might be able to help you out. Good question, John.
That's a good question. Another one from Marcus. No,
No, that
you
one
answered
we already
that.
answered.
You
Yeah.
answered that one.
Oh, Sunil has a
You're
question
always
in
ahead of the
chat.
game.
Hold on. Hi, when we can start getting metrics, protocol latency, network latency for AWS workspaces and app streams? I think that's more for EdgeDX. Oh, do we have a way of doing that in synthetic monitoring?
Doing what again?
In chat, oh, that's for real time. Sanel asks, when can we start getting metric protocol latencies, network latency for AWS workspaces and app streams? But I don't think it's relation to Scoutbees. So I don't know. I'll be honest. We do get a lot of metrics already regarding latency, regarding AWS and all that fun stuff. However, I think I'll have to do a little bit more research. Can you come to one of my sessions next week? I'll be happy to dig in a little bit more if you'd like. But I can show you what kind of metrics we already have. Of course. So as a reminder, my sessions actually take place at exact this time on Tuesdays every week during this hour. So if you guys want to, and it's every week, guys, every week I do this. I have 2 different times. I do one for the EMEA hours and one for the US hours. And we can find that under here. When you go to register, you choose a session, you can choose what hours work for you, okay? So if I sign up now, I will have a lot of information because I'm admin. Ignore that for a second. But you'll get something like this. You can hit sign up. Okay. And then you can sign up. All right. The time here, you'll get a calendar invite on your own time zone, not mine. All right. So I'm going to give you guys this link once more. Put this on your favorites if you ever want to talk to me again. Marcus is funny. Sure thing. However, I do want to mention something regarding EdgeDX really quickly because it answered a question regarding different types of things that you can scan for. I do not have, oh yeah, I'm not in the right account here. I was changing things around because I needed to show you something that I didn't have set up here. Let's go into here now. I want to remind people in EdgeDX, you could change your network latency IP addresses and stuff. So you can check for anything you want. All right. You can also do this in Scoutbees too, by the way. So I can go into here as a reminder and put in any metrics that I want for ping and trace routes. All right, I got it all. We got it all. All right. And if you guys want to have more in-depth training on Scoutbees, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I'm going to give the microphone back to my dear friend Douglas if he wants to say goodbye. As a reminder, you can take the actual full 1 hour course of synthetic monitoring where we go into so much more detail. Okay. So it's a 1 hour course. You'll be able to hear from me again, and you can take a final exam and get certified. So why not? Okay.
That's great.
Is
Thank
it?
you so much, Sivan. And definitely, if you have questions, you can always ask in the community too. So we have tons of places. My internet, I think, is the worst it's been in recent memory. I heard half of what you said, and it broke up quite often. So I heard half of each word. I
You got
thank
most of
you
the
so
training.
much. Oh, I'm sorry.
Never mind.
I will watch the recording. On that note, thank you so much. I hope you guys can hear me. Thank you for watching this meetup. If you liked it, please let us know. If you didn't, please let us know and how we can make these things better. And if you have topics, thank you so very much. And what do I say? Thank you